Oz. The name on the street for the Oswald State Correctional Facility, Level 4. Yeah, it's me. You thought I was dead, didn't you? Well, I am. But that don't mean I can't keep drawing. And now that I crossed over, I got a whole new perspective on things. And I'm seeing a lot of familiar faces. Yeah, this ain't so bad. Let me tell you, dying is a lot harder on the living than it is on the dead. Death really only hurts those left behind. We'll find a manuscript which I've been writing over the past 6 years. If you're perusing this letter, then my premonition was right. And I am dead. So consider these pages my last will and testament. My will to survive. My testament to all I've experienced in Oz.
Hey, I want to talk to you about what happens after death. The afterlife. See, the ancient Greeks believed when a brother died, he just got on a boat, crossed the river Styx, and went to a place called Hades. Now, everybody went to Hades. It didn't matter how good or how bad you were. It's a place we all just got our groove on. But the Greeks, they understood. Just having lived, just having gone through the sheer shit of getting up and going through a whole day was enough to earn eternal reward. Now, the Italians, they got a whole nother way of thinking about life after death. This Dante dude describes hell as a series of old circles where sinners are tormented by a punishment that reflects their crime. Flatterers are buried up to their necks in shit. Lawyers wear clothes that never stop itching. Just think on it. What would be the one thing that would torture you for all of eternity? Your mother-in-law? Britney Spears singing? For me, it'll be a big pair of tits just hanging out of my reach. Damn! In the Shona tribe in Africa, the living communicate with Mawari. That's God, through their dead ancestors, Bazimu. The Shona believe that all around the living, there's an invisible community of Bazimu, watching and caring for their descendants. But there's also Ngozi, evil spirits, the wronged, the neglected, the murdered, who avenge themselves on a family through sudden death. I want to get to heaven when I die to see old Jordan roll. I wanna get to heaven when I die, yeah, to see old Jordan roll, yeah, yeah. Rest in peace.
Ask any toe-headed schoolboy how many senses we got, and it's likely they're gonna say 5. 5? You kidding me? What about my sense of balance, entitlement, fair play? Problem is, 5 is about the most our tiny little brains can handle. But sometimes we have so many senses cluttering us up, so many ways to feel about a thing, we blow a fuse. And what's that lead to? Senseless violence. Yeah, senseless violence. Comes in all shapes and colors.
You know, they say, when one of your senses fails, the other ones compensate by getting stronger. Like if you go blind, your hearing suddenly perks up. Can't smell, your taste buds bloom. So what happens if you lost them all? If things no longer make any sense? You've got to rely on others to get you through the day. And in Oz, that could be dangerous. A lot of times when a woman gets pregnant, her sense of smell changes for the worse. Suddenly, roses are putrid. And freshly baked bread, cheese is more like ammonia. Epileptics got something similar. They can often tell when they're about to do a backflip because they start to smell things that aren't there. So at least they got a chance to sit down before the seizure hits. With pregnancy and epilepsy, you've got a pretty good sense of impending doom. Too bad we've got no sense of how to avoid it. There's a condition called synesthesia. Makes you associate letters with colors, sounds with touch. Imagine reading a book and being constantly awash in a cascade of green and purple, or hearing a guitar chord and feeling it like your lover's lips against your neck. Why they call it a condition, I'll never know. Sounds more like a blessing. And just goes to prove that even the most basic reality is totally different for each of us. A young man mugs someone. A young girl steals 20 purses from Sears. A young mother drowns her daughter. The one thing they're all said to lack is common sense. Somewhere along the way, they lost their ability to think correctly. But look at ours. Common sense creates the common criminal. The desire to do right is probably the most uncommon sense of all. Sometimes the worst thing, the worst possible fucking state of being
is having all your senses working full tilt. How can that be bad? Well, there are certain things we do when seen, touched, heard, smelled, and tasted all at the same time that'll make you wish you were dead.
The power of music. Whether a concerto, a ballad, or rap, music stimulates us. Yeah, stimulates us. Willie Shakespeare said, if music be the food of love, play on. Music expresses that which cannot be put into words and that which cannot remain silent. Victor Hugo. Music is the brandy of the damned. George Bernard Shaw. William Congreve said, music has charms to soothe the savage breast, to soften rocks or bend a knotted oak. But what happens when the music is gone? When there is no melody? When all you hear is silence? The bittersweet, deafening sound of nothing. Nothing at all.
In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So from the starting gun, it's all about the Word, all about communication. A couple million millennia go by, along comes man. God wants somebody to chat with. Turns out, man wants more than that. Man wants the gossip page and phone sex, reruns of Seinfeld and auctions in cyberspace. Man's got his own plan as far as communication goes, and the inventions to see it through. And poor God.
He's still got no one to talk to.
The printing press changed the world forever, and for the better. Bibles got printed in vernacular rather than Latin, bringing God out of the dark ages, out of dark corners, to ordinary folks like you and me. But imagine old Gutenberg at a newsstand today. Think he'd be proud of paving the way for jugs, high times, and soldier of fortune? One day in 1876, Alexander Graham Bell uttered through a wire, "Watson, come here, I want you." 130 years later, we're talking through satellites. Strange, huh? That before hanging up, we say, keep in touch, when there's never any touch involved. No contact. Just cables and frequencies. Still, to get an I love you call in the middle of a shitty day, that makes a cell phone seem miraculous.
By and large,
Back in the 60s, the Department of Defense created the internet. Little did they know they were mixing concrete to build the global village. There's nothing concrete about it, though. People get digital mail from electronic boxes. They congregate in chat rooms that have no walls and no doors. Millions around the world have instant access to each other and stores and food and entertainment. But if it's such a revolution in communications, why do studies show the more time one spends online, the more isolation one suffers? When man goes collectively mad from downloading all the mental messages in the air, when there's no trees left, because we needed all that paper for the printing press, and therefore are left with no oxygen to breathe, then satellites will fry from overuse and drop from the sky. And we'll make desperate cell phone calls to our loved ones while watching Mother Earth's last days on reality TV. Communications will be once again what it was in the beginning.
The Word, moving over the face of the deep, over the face of God, who now, instead of wanting to talk, is tired of listening. A wise man once said, life is an adventure in forgiveness. Now, you might rank bungee jumps off a bridge in New Zealand or bachelor parties in Vegas a few notches higher on the adventure ladder, but think about the risks involved. You could climb to the mountaintop of contrition only to get shot down by a victim who refuses to forgive. Think about the rewards. A chance to heal those nasty wounds, reconcile with someone you love. Huh. Now that I think about it, forgiveness might knock bungee jumps and bachelor parties off the charts.
I'm at a Chinese restaurant. My fortune cookie says, whoever opts for revenge should dig 2 graves.
I hate Chinese food.
Now, shut the fuck up, Hank.
Shut the fuck up, Hank.
My brother's an annoying little prick, but I forgive him. Why? Because we only get 2 choices. Forgive or die a slow death. One of them studies doctors do. Shows that carrying around the baggage of anger and bitterness can put you at risk for mental illness, for depression and anxiety, as well as strokes, heart disease, and heart attacks.
Who knew? Forgiveness is good for your health.
So if forgiveness is so good for us, why don't we do it more?
Same reason I don't eat tofu. It tastes like shit.
There are 2 reasons we hold back. First, accountability. Long as we're still in pain, we need someone to blame. What can you do with all that pain if you've let the bastard off the hook? Second, identity. Without this rage consuming me, without this resentment, this bitterness, who am I? Who's the hardest person of all to forgive? Oneself. The demons inside, they laugh at the thought.
When you forgive some other guy, he's not likely to turn you down, say, fuck that.
Trying to forgive yourself, though? It's fuck that all the time.
10 years go by. You still can't let yourself off the hook.
15 years, 20, 40. You gonna take that grudge against yourself to the grave?
You gonna carry it for eternity?
A man stands in a cemetery, reading a letter he wrote, finally forgiving his long-dead father. The mother of a girl killed by a drunk driver is racked with fantasies of retaliation. Your boyfriend begs you for one more chance. You say to a mirror you're done hating yourself. But you know you're not. Maybe instead of forgive and forget, it should be forgive and remember. Remember that you might wake up tomorrow and have to forgive all over again, and again, and again, the way the heart keeps beating like a drum. Forgive. I can't. You can't. Forgive. Forgive. I can't. You can. Forgive.
Fact.
2.5 million people die in the United States each year. This, of course, is using the dictionary definition of dead, toe-tagged and body-bagged. The #1 cause of death in America? Heart disease.
But not all heart disease will leave you dictionary dead. Some will kill you and still leave you living. Yeah, we got a whole lot of walking dead in Oz. Cancer, the scariest fucking word in the English language. And the second leading cause of death. It might be your zodiac sign, but more likely, cancer will eat your insides up. Do you know why it's so fucking scary? Because the word itself is a cancer. Just the idea of it can infect you. The stress of it can spread through your spirit. The fear can turn into the disease. Third leading cause of death in America is stroke, or as I like to call it these days, brain attack. Serious, that's a real medical term. But who the fuck among us ain't had their brain attacked? Ain't had some part of themselves shut down, paralyzed, which forces us to keep on attacking back. Breathtaking. It's a nice way to describe someone or something, right? What the fuck's so good about having your breath taken? Respiratory disease clocks in at #4 on our little hit parade. And for good reason. Because regardless of who takes your breath away, be it 4 packs a day or just one chick, you're dead just the same. Accidents are the 5th leading cause of death. But you know as well as me, there's no such thing as an accident. That's just some bullshit word we use instead of blaming ourselves. Because no matter what damn lie you've been told, we're the leading cause of death. Mankind. And there's no cure for us.
13 years after banging the opposite side of the gavel, the Supreme Court did an about-face and decided last June to bar the death penalty on retarded defendants. The large number of states prohibiting the execution of mentally retarded persons provides powerful evidence that today our society views mentally retarded offenders as categorically less culpable than the average criminal. Each individual state has to decide if a person is retarded or not. Meaning a murderer could get a life sentence in Maine where he's considered retarded, but the gas chamber in Iowa where he's normal enough to die. Same guy, same problems, same crime. 2 opposite fates depending on which invisible state line he crosses. Guilt and innocence, hell, one's entire identity is now a matter of geography. There's widespread agreement that retarded people are less accountable for their crimes than those of average intelligence. But if so, something or someone has to be held accountable, has to pick up the slack and take the rest of the blame, right? After all, these victims still die heinous deaths and families still grieve. If the retarded person's not fully at fault, then who or what shares the responsibility? God? Human nature? Society? Maybe the question is, who isn't to blame? Flashback to 1989 when the Supreme Court first weighed in on this issue. Based on evolving standards of decency that mark the progress of a maturing society, there is not sufficient evidence present of a national consensus against such executions. Well, supposedly today there is. Polls show most Americans agree that an adult with the mind of a 3rd grader should not be on death row. But are we a maturing society with evolving standards of decency? Who's to say we're any further along than some cosmic equivalent of 3rd grade? Who's to say we as a whole aren't retarded? Junk is the stuff that was once valuable to us, but that we now have no use for. Some junk is put away in storage in the hopes of possible reuse. Some junk is discarded. Either way, it's never really gone, it's only out of sight. Junk is still and always somewhere. 10 months ago, divers swimming deep in the Pacific discovered 2 pieces of the PT-109. That's the boat JFK was commander of in World War II when it was sunk by a Japanese destroyer. In the past, they've also found the Titanic, the Hundley, and hundreds of thousands of other ships lost at sea. It makes you wonder, how much is down there? How badly have we littered the ocean floor? The best part is, sea life adapts. They take our naval junk and make it their own. Make it their home. In 1957, the first satellite was sent into space. Since then, 4,186 satellites have followed. 300 of them are still up there, defunct, abandoned, some the size of Volkswagens. Occasionally, you hear that one of them is going to fall out of the sky, going to hit the Earth. The experts say, don't worry, most likely, it'll crash into the ocean. Most times they're right, but, brother, I don't want to be standing around the one time they're wrong. They say, one man's trash is another man's treasure, like the fish in the sea. We take something someone else doesn't want and repurpose it. We go to antique stores and auction houses, paying top dollar, proud to have captured the prize. Or when someone you love dies, the stupidest object, their keychain, a torn sweatshirt, suddenly becomes very special, an icon to be venerated. Forget about having too much garbage, too many bottles, cans, watermelon rinds, disposable baby diapers and such. What's really terrifying in terms of the long-term health of the planet is toxic waste. Toxic waste. You can't put two worse words together except maybe nuclear war.
It will have.
Junk is garbage. We Americans dump 400,000 tons of garbage every day in over 6,000 landfills. Problem is, as the population keeps growing, the amount of available space diminishes. Remember a few years ago that barge that kept sailing around because no one wanted to accept its decaying cargo? Imagine a future full of ships, detritus thinking to high heaven, trying to find a port. Junk is also classic slang for narcotics, usually heroin. The people using are junkies, and as a result, lives can be destroyed. Junk bonds cause financial disaster. Junk food brings nutritional ruin. Junk mail is just plain irritating. Our lives are filled with dreck, but the hardest dreck of all to clear away is the one of our own making. According to statistics from the United States Bureau of Justice, the prison population has grown by almost 550,000 since 1991. That's an increase of 69%. Junkyard, prison, same difference. Only in prison, the junk we're discarding, the flotsam and jetsam, are human lives.
I'm innocent.
I'm innocent. I am innocent. I'm innocent.
Innocent. I'm innocent too.
I'm innocent. You go to any prison, you ask any guy who's serving time, and he'll tell you, he's innocent. I got a bum rap. I had a lousy lawyer. I was in Toledo visiting my mama. Yeah, you hear a whole pack of lies. But what about that one brother who's telling the truth? The one who really is innocent. His voice is buried so damn deep beneath the others, he's gonna grow hoarse just trying to be heard. Here's a story, and it's true. Mariano Abson escaped the Connor Correctional Center in Hominy, Oklahoma, by hiding in the back of a garbage truck. His body was found 2 hours later, crushed to death in the truck's trash tray. Now, Abson was only serving a 3-year sentence. 3 years. That's how desperate he was to get the fuck out. Here's a story, and it's true. Up in Vermont, an inmate was caught breaking into prison. He'd evidently slipped out of his work camp, went to a nearby convenience store, bought a case of beer and a carton of cigs, and then crawled back under the fence where he was arrested by the COs. The man was sentenced to 6 more months, and the poor motherfucker, he didn't even get to keep the beer. You know what I'm saying? Here's a story, and it's true. A municipal court judge in Texas was indicted on 4 counts of sexual misconduct. Seemed this judge extorted sexual favors from the female relatives of criminal defendants in exchange for reducing the defendant's bond or ordering their release. Hey, when you're horny, you're horny. Here's a story, and it's true. A male prisoner at the Muskegon Correctional Facility in Michigan sexually assaulted the 3-year-old daughter of a woman who was visiting him. As a result, the state DOC came up with the harshest, most restrictive visiting policies of anywhere in the country, which included the banning of all minors, even family members. So you see, one man's fuck-up fucked up everybody else's happiness. Here's a story, and it's true. The Wisconsin DOC has banned all sexually explicit materials received by prisoners through the mail. These include the swimsuit issue of Sports Illustrated, copies of Vanity Fair, Maxim, and Rolling Stone, as well as various motorcycle and fitness magazines. Also banned was a photograph of Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel. The DOC felt the nude paintings that adorn the Vatican ceiling could, quote, impede rehabilitation. Here's a story, and it's true. The Oregon legislature passed a law authorizing the state DOC to charge inmates for costs associated with their imprisonment. We're talking such luxury items as medical care, administrative expenditures, room and board, which they estimate cost $65 a day or $25,000 a year per prisoner. Given that Oregon pays those incarcerated only $10.80 a week for work, you could end up leaving prison in debt and then be forced to commit a crime, in order to make restitution, which of course could lead you back to prison where you'd have to pay. Huh. I guess you'd call that a vicious circle. Give it up, boys. Here's a story, and it's true. Last year, United States Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia criticized the Catholic Church's opposition to the death penalty. He believes Catholic judges who don't support capital punishment should resign. And about Catholic himself, Scalia has not demanded judges who support the Church's stand on abortion should resign.